Okay, so welcome to Wild, Wise and Curious, Rushna. It's really good to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited, to be invited in. It's all this subject and everything topic is so exciting for me. So yeah, thank you.
Super, thank you. It's lovely to see you this morning, Rushna. So, Rushna, how did you sort of realise that you were in perimenopause?
To be honest, my journey is quite a funny one because I have kind of been into um menstruality and understanding my body for years before I got into menopause or perimenopause. Um, and we can, I'd love to talk about that a little in a bit, but in particular, so 25 years ago, I was kind of doing all of this. And then when I finally came into perimenopause, I knew about it in theory, but coming into it, just bang in the middle of a menopause, well, a period menstruation course was like pretty crazy. And also, I suppose, what it was meant to be, because I was able to be held through it. And so when I finally went through it in this course, I noticed, because I was deeply in this course looking at my cycle and all of this, and suddenly was like, oh, this is very different to how it's been for years. And I understood this for years, and suddenly it's shifted, and it was like a new reckoning and a new awakenedness, I guess, for me. And that was a few years ago. That was, I would say, probably started a bit earlier, but I noticed it about 3 years ago.
So, because you were deep into this work already, you kind of saw it coming, did you?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess a little bit of my story is that about 20, 25 years ago, I would say my mid 20s, and I'm like later stages of 40 now. And I actually went out and bought this book. Because I wanted to kind of learn about my astrological cycle more than anything. And I had no idea it would like turn into this. And I bought this book, and it was a year-long journey. And I'm a Cancerian, and it was like kind of looking at as a Cancerian each month what you would do in your ebb and flow, and like you were plotting how you were feeling and all. Now when I think of it, it was all menstruality, but at the time that's not what I thought it was. I thought it was just this astrological year thing that I was recording. And like, I think 3 quarters into it, I started realizing that it was matching my periods, my moods, all of it started dropping in myself without realizing. And that was when I went into this like huge, like deep dive into what is this. And that was I was really quite early if you think about it. It was before there was like courses and people talking about it. And I must have been like 23, 24, something like that. And and I just went deep dive, looked into it, started looking for like red tent circles, started looking to learn more. And that was like kind of the span of the next, I would say, 10 years. And so I kind of felt like I knew it. So, in those 20 years, I've really been doing MCA practice, which is like, looking at my cycle, learning what my body does, not using contraception. And actually, in that time, I met my husband, and he didn't know any other way. When we talk about it now, it's really funny because he was like, I asked him, because I'm really into menstruation at now, and I said, does this, is this different for you? And he goes, I don't know any other way. I've been with you so long now.
I've forgotten anything
It's
else.
always been the same. It
Yeah.
feels normal to know this stuff. And, like I really trusted in my body. We have 2 children, and we conceived both of them based on my period, and didn't conceive them as well. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
I
yeah.
didn't, I didn't use contraception. Um, and it's been a really interesting journey for me, and trusting my body. And so when I finally did this course with Red School, when it was time for my many menopause like journey, perimenopause journey, I didn't know about that. I knew about everything else. I'd learned about, I delved into everything else, but perimenopause seemed so far away, even though in theory I knew what it should feel like. And so suddenly I was in it, and thank God I was being supported by these amazing women and people, because we were all together, and I was suddenly feeling really the depth of not understanding my body all over again, and going, oh God, what is this? So yeah, that's fast forwarded all of that time, but that 20-year journey was incredible time for me. And when I look back at it, at the time I didn't think so. I thought it was just something that everyone does. I thought everyone knows this
Oh,
actually.
only.
Yeah,
You know,
only.
while you're talking, Rushna, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I'd have
Same. Yeah, it's
been
exactly
like,
the same
yeah,
feelings I was
I
having. I wish I'd
wish
have been
I'd
on
have,
that
yeah,
ball.
because it was only really once I came into this that I started to like really look at,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. About 6 years, I think, for me.
yeah,
Since this all started.
yeah, because you just take it all for granted. Oh yeah,
It
here we
just
go again.
happens.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it just
yeah.
happens. Oh, you feel crap, or you feel like this, or you feel,
Yeah, and
yeah,
you've
the
got to
different
work
highs and
through it
lows.
and all this kind of thing. And then it's only like now that I started to live with my cycle. And I thought if I'd have only been doing this years ago, how much my life would have been different.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what was the name of the book that started you off on this journey 20, 25 years ago?
I have no idea because it was nothing to do with men. It was nothing to do with periods. It
Okay.
was some type of like, like it was so cheap as well, like just from a bookstore. And it was like a journal. It probably was amazing, like, and if I could find it now, but it was like a astrological journal based on your star sign. That was literally what it was. And no,
Okay.
nothing to do with menstruality, nothing to do with periods or being female even. But in it, it was, and I wish, to be fair, now I look back at it, it's a great business model for menstruation. But like it showed like this graph each month. You can plot information, and it showed like a graph, and you could look. It was almost like this graph that went up like that, and you could plot the times in the month that you were high and low. It was so like you could visualize it. The book was visual, but it was only a tiny little book, made on really bad paper. It wasn't even,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was really
yeah.
like quite simple, but it was just the concept of plotting that I'd never done before. The concept of, I wasn't on any contraception, I wasn't on anything, I didn't have a boyfriend, nothing. And
And
it
it
was just
worked.
me, and it worked. And I was like, oh, like I really notice how I'm feeling. And and it was prompting you to notice those things. And then I was like, oh, this is like, this matches my period. And my period has always been 28 days without fail, always been like that. And so I was like, it was easier for me. I didn't have like an irregular cycle, so I could just check it all. And then I was like, oh, this is something, this is something. My mum didn't, I mean, my mum is like, comes from a very ancestral, I'm Bangladeshi, and it comes from, all of this knowledge comes quite, from the elders and things, and they do it themselves, but they don't do it to this depth. So I even asked her and said, oh, is this something that you guys kind of, talk about or know about? And she was like, you go by your body. And that's what she meant. You go by your body, you listen to your body. And the seasons, and we talk about that now, don't we? The seasons, the inner seasons, or the moon, and the outside world in comparison to the inside world. And I think all of that came later for me, but that book there was a light bulb, and I was like, oh, this is more. And I've spoken to more women over the years who I thought everyone knew this.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for my journey. Like, I didn't realize, I worked in a health store really young, actually. This is my story. I started working in a health store when I was like 13, 14, back in the days when you were allowed to work after
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
for cash. And so I was like used to do this, the shelves and the stock and stuff like that. And that lasted a span of 10 years actually. And I started doing more in that health store. I was working part-time, and then I was working weekends and holidays, and I had some incredible mentors during that time, and people who really brought me into the alternative world. So I think that was the start of me questioning it actually. And I remember I bought it out the other day, and I remember Instagramming it, this book that I bought back then in that health store about perimenopause, or not perimenopause, but like going natural with your hormones. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I don't know why I got that book, but I've got it, and I bought it when I was like in my teens, for God's sake. And then I still have it, and I pulled it out, and I was like, wow, like this is really relevant to me now. And it wasn't back then. It was really about how I should look after my body and what we can do. And so, anyways, that's my journey. And I think that's why at that age I was ready. I think I wanted to look at an alternative. I was curious already. Um, and actually, yeah, so my husband's really part of the journey, but we've got two young children. And my daughter is in her menarche now. She's 13. She's into that. And my son, who's 9, it's been really good because I've just introduced it into my family just from the beginning. just from the beginning, not spoken about it. It doesn't matter if there's blood in the bathroom. It doesn't matter that I've got things soaking here. And sometimes they ask questions, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just what it is. I have this clock. You can get it from Inner Seasons, and it's beautiful, and it's like a wind up clock, and you put it on your first day of your bleed, and then it just stays in the family space, and everyone in the family knows what my cycle is without me having to talk about it. And there was a lot of talk at the beginning, but it's an incredible tool if nobody knows about it to have, because it's not, sometimes we make it about ourselves, and actually when you live with a family you need to not make it about yourself, but also they need to understand that my cycles interpret a lot in our family, like how I am
Yeah.
interprets a lot. So if they can recognize that, mum is sleeping more because she's resting in these 2 days, and she's on her bleed, or she might be a bit more ratty with me today, and that's because she's in that period. And I've spoken to them in that way, and I think more of us should do that if we can, like with our families.
Yeah, it just encourages the conversation. It stops it being a taboo subject. I mean, my house, so there's my husband, and we've got three boys, ranging from 22, 21 and 16. And I've not had a period for, I can't remember if it's 3, 4 or 5 months now, but I came on my period yesterday. And I should have known, because I was craving all the wrong things and I was really tired. And yesterday I wasn't at work, and I was trying to do some work for uni, and I just couldn't get my head into it. And I took myself off into the little, we call it a little music room. It's just the conservatory that we like made in, put the record player and stuff in. And I laid on the sofa, and the dog came and laid next to me, and I just couldn't be asked to do anything. I just felt I felt flat. I felt empty of energy. And I noticed, and my husband came home, and he came in to see how I was, sort of said hello to the kids, and then went into the kitchen, and I heard him washing up. And then like after that, I heard him prepping dinner. And I just thought, okay, it takes time. But I think the fact that I had just gone, absolutely no chance today, I'm not moving. It's really nice when people start to recognise. And, I've always spoken to the boys about periods and stuff, and when they were talking to me yesterday, "You all right, Mum?" I was like, "No, I've come on my period, I'm really tired, I feel like this, I feel like that." And I think sometimes they think, "Oh God, I shouldn't have opened my mouth and asked." But actually, in their futures, with partners or with friends or whatever, it's like just having that understanding and not poo-pooing a conversation, because it's part of our life, isn't it? And it's a regular part of our life where we are feeling up and down, especially in this period where you don't know if you're going to get a period, and it's just also tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're navigating life in a different way with more responsibilities, yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important, like this, the divine masculine is born through us, like our children, and I find it fascinating because my daughter's now going through it, and she was so hormonal, and my poor son had to deal with that as a sibling, like he really did. But I was really, really tried to explain it. Obviously, it's not perfect. I'm speaking to you like this. It wasn't perfect. It was hell in the house, but like explaining it to him how she was feeling, or she was going through. But also, like, we bleed once a month a lot, and it's like sometimes the patriarchy has created this thing where it's just, oh, it's nothing, they just deal with it, they just get on with it, because we just get on with it, we go to work, we do everything, we don't complain. But actually we do need to tell people, this is not easy, we grit our teeth and go through it. So many people have pain, and like so many people have excruciating periods, and actually it's a physical thing that's happening in our body. We need to my son recognizing that there's blood in the house during those periods of the month, for him it's like, well, that's a body thing. We need to explore that more with men, I think, so they go, oh God, this is what they're doing every month.
Normalising it, like you just said, isn't it? It's normalising it, having those conversations where it's not like, ew, that's gross, kind of thing. It's just like, it's normalising it.
It is.
We all have to go through it.
Yeah, we do, and sometimes it's exhausting, isn't it? There's days where everything hurts from above your boobs, like to your kind of knees, and you've got those like feelings that like really achy, and even to just get up and walk around the house, and you're just like, all I want to do is lay under a blanket. But no, you've got to get up and do the school run, then you've got to go to work, then you've got to do tea, then you've got to make sure the washing's done and tidy up, all of those different things. And sometimes, yeah, it's a lot. So just having a family, or people that the people that you live with, or you know, the friends or whatever, when people understand, and they can be a little bit more
gentle.
Yeah.
But then when we're talking to our sons about it, you know, like in the future when they come across it, it's gonna. For me, I'm really lucky, like we all are by the sounds of it. You know, my husband will pick up the slack. You know, if I'm not doing it, he will literally do it like Tom did.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. You know, that stability to know that we can lean on each other when we need to. And it's I feel very lucky that I've got that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's just, you know, going back to kind of like, you know, the original way that we lived in villages. We don't have that anymore. We have to create our own village, don't we? And like, so, you know, when I spoke earlier about my family heritage and where we came from, it was really interesting because women have sat in circle together for so long, and we are creating more of that. It's something that I do now, and, you know, like have moved into more and spending time with women in that way. But we don't have that anymore. So when you were saying that, you know, your husband has to take slack, and the same with mine, like in days gone, we would sit together, and the grandmas and mums and aunties and all of them would all be there. They'd pick up the baby, they'd do this, they'd do that. We don't have that anymore, so we just have to do it all ourselves. And I think I'm really excited that more and more people are starting to learn to be in circle more and support each other more. And I hope it just keeps growing, because I think that's a really important part of the whole menstrual cycle, the womanhood, especially perimenopause, because I don't know if you've had that, because it's a bit like pregnancy, where people don't tell you the full story about the symptoms. And you have to find out. Like one time I couldn't walk up the stairs for like 24 hours because my knee had gone. Then I was like, oh my gosh, what's happened to my knee? I literally am limping. And then it just disappeared. It just didn't, I was fine. And I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, I think it's perimenopause. And it's like, there's no answer, is it? It's like, what was that? And what am I feeling? And if you could speak to other women and they're around you, like I could say, has this happened to you? Yes, it is. You know, like this itching. What is that? Oh no, I'm not going crazy. It's part of perimenopause. It's and then there's people there to support you around that, just as they are in pregnancy or like after birth, you know.
Yeah, we say that quite a bit, don't we? About sort of going back to generations where we'd all be sat round a fire or cooking some food, and just, you know, I could almost imagine having your head on someone's knee as they stroke your hair and say, don't worry, that panic, that worry, that, you know, that aching leg, or that this that isn't working, it's only perimenopause, it will pass, and we've all experienced it. Or go and speak to so and so over there, she's really experienced that part. Or, but I mean, like you, we're really excited about the fact that women do seem, or we kind of think, you know, there are sort of like these growing circles, and we've been to some, haven't we? And Lou's facilitated some. You facilitate circle as well, don't you? And that space of just being with women and just talking about your experiences, where you feel like you are you're heard, and you can trust that circle of women. And also, even if you don't have an experience that's exactly the same as somebody else's, you can kind of, you learn something from somebody else's story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
And I think
absolutely.
also it's there's just showing up, because you know, sometimes if we're feeling a bit crappy, we'll go up, we'll hide away, we won't talk to people. Oh, I don't want to burden you with this. But actually, it's the best time to show up for each other, because you know, once you share it, you feel so much better. You're showing up, you're being, and when you're being vulnerable, other people feel like they can be vulnerable, and it just it has a knock-on effect, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And I think, and each person brings that back into their world, don't they? And that has a knock-on effect as a ripple. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really interesting thing to get onto, actually, because earlier I was saying how I thought all women kind of knew this. And it was a really pivotal time in my life when I realised they didn't. And it was quite it was not that long ago, actually. It was really crazy. So it was not, even though I was involved in all this like kind of like menstruality work naturally in my body, I never did a course or anything. I just lived it for 20 years. I kind of like had that experience. And then I was like toying with the idea. I was kind of like going through that typical, now I know, perimenopause stage of stepping into my elder years and, you know, going grey and all of the things, like embracing all those things and deciding I'd wanted something different in my life and shifting up my career and all of this. And so I was at this festival. Well, it was like a women's retreat festival. And part of it was that we hold space for each other and you come with your ideas. And I was shitting myself, but I really wanted to hold this menstruality circle. Um, and then, you know, I was allowed to do whatever I want. So I was like, okay. And I put it up on the wall and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to talk about the stuff that I know. And then I started really freaking out because I was like, who wants to hear me? Because I have no experience. I don't have a course or, you know, I don't have this special knowledge that's been certified or anything like that. But then 17 women turned up to this circle with me and it
Wow.
was
Wonderful.
incredible. And it was a really beautiful circle. And then at the end of it, I still kind of doubted whether, you know, what I was doing or sharing was right. And at the end of it, in particular, a couple of people came and spoke to me and said that they had never heard this and it's changed their life with their children. You know,
Wow.
I saw them in a different event and they were like, you know, what everything you taught us or spoke to us about, it's changed everything. I've looked into it. We've got 2 teenage daughters and and all of that. And I was like, wow, this is the magic, right? So you can't say that you don't have knowledge. Or you don't have, you know, a course under you or you know, something. You have to trust by experience and what you've lived, and your knowledge, which might seem like nothing, is vast to somebody else. It might be dropped to you, but it's vast to somebody else. And for me, that was the moment where I was like, wow, 17 people in that room who were all I thought would know about this. Majority of them didn't, and they were there to learn. Like, how many more women are out there who need to know this? And that, for me, embarked on a completely new venture into what I wanted to do with my life. And I shifted. I come from corporate HR. That's my background.
Yeah.
I
We don't seem to dump the corporate bit.
yeah. And I completely changed my career and decided I just wanted to do more of this and change and change other people's perceptions of learning about their bodies or their daughters and it wasn't just menstruality, but it was a massive part of what I started embarking on a few years ago. And everything shifted for me, actually. And I hold space for women in different ways. I hold space for women in circles. I'm a drum facilitator. So I hold space with drumming. And all of it is the same. It's healing, it's being with women, and it's looking outside in nature and bringing that into our bodies. And I think it's really important that, as I said, at this stage of menopause or the wheel of womanhood, I don't know if you know about that, the wheel of womanhood, this is the part which is like the last, like almost like the last initiation that we talk about with menopause, the last initiation where we step into our elder years, the wise woman, like actually step into it. And more women are starting to recognize that menopause is when they start to notice this and they want to do more in the world or they want to change something, because actually that is part of womanhood. And that is something that we need to embrace and realize it's actually a great power.
Like a rite
Yeah.
of passage.
A massive rite of passage, yeah. And we have so many over our lives as women, but this particular one it was almost taken away from us because we were told that we become frail, we become old, we become ugly, you know, all of those things as we get older. But actually, it's the complete opposite. Like, menopause is a huge initiation into um, an unknown, but it's an unknown part of you that becomes alive because we've given birth to everything physically that we need to, and suddenly we're allowed to give birth to something that we want to give back to the world, which is our lifetime of experience, right? Like things
Yeah.
that we think that we don't have, but we do, because a 20-year-old now hasn't lived my 40 7 years of life, and I can teach that 20-year-old so much, and actually all of us can, and we've been told that's not good enough. It's absolutely good enough. It's amazing.
We are amazing, aren't we? I think that's one of the things that that we're like really, really learning and leaning into this whole thing about. And don't get me wrong, there are days like where you do feel knackered, or you're working through a symptom or something where you do feel, you know, you don't feel 25 energetically. But your brain...
I didn't even feel energetically 25 when I was 25.
25 years ago. But that kind of level of wisdom and the level of confidence, I mean, and it was a journey getting there from like a really rocky perimenopause to sort of 5-6 years later, where now I feel... Yeah, you know, apart from on the days where you feel crappy, like I say, but I feel more confident in myself. I feel more confident in not doing things that I don't want to do and doing the things that I really want to and also need to do. I think there's a power in kind of learning who you really are. And for me, I kind of thought I knew, and like you, I discovered a book in my early 20s in a charity shop in a bucket outside that was about 50p, and it was Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Women Who Run With the Wolves.
Yeah, amazing book, amazing book.
Brilliant. And I bought the book, and it was knackered then. And then I bought it, and I thought, I need to read that. And then it went in on a shelf, then I moved, then it went in the attic, then it came back down, then it went back upstairs. And then when I started to sort of like go through the perimenopause, I remembered the book. And so I thought, for some reason, it was calling out to me. So I went and got that. And that kind of made me go, yes, absolutely, you know. And yeah, I just think there's something magical about this time.
I really love the whole, like, we're messengers for ourselves later on in life.
Yeah, our younger messengers.
Yeah, because I was, I didn't know why, but I was so into like herbs, and one of my first books was a book on herbs, and then I went on to train to be a clinical aromatherapist, and it was just, I'd got this like, and I, you know, real yearning to want to know more about plant medicine and all that kind of stuff, and I just how it all links in, and like all these little tiny messages along the way, and you're like,
there's like the crumbs, right? The little crumbs that we leave, and actually it's almost like you're going back. I felt like I was going back and going, oh, you know, I did all that already. There was like, it's like crossroads, isn't it? Like, was it the road less traveled? And you can kind of go, oh, I'll go down that path, which is a career, and do all of the things. And you know, all careers are great, but like, you know, like the corporate thing that school churned you out to do, or you can go down the road less traveled, and we don't realize that we've already left the breadcrumbs, right? There's that, and actually looking back, when I look back, I was like, oh, I was always meant to do this, but I just did something else for a little while and explored that. But actually, this is what I was meant to always do. It's interesting.
I also feel as well that you know, there's been a while where I've been like, oh, okay, I'm a whole new person now, and I'm completely different to the one I was like 20 years ago, and But actually, no, it's a transitioning. I'm still that person, but I'm just learning new parts of myself, which is quite exciting. So I'm trying to almost reframe it. In yes, those things were important at that time, and now something else is important. It's just a transition. It's not I've given up everything that I was and rebuilding as such. It's just
different version of yourself. And it's interesting, you said about the aromatherapy. So I was very similar. So this whole journey of me being in a health store piqued my interest in alternative health anyway, so it kind of went with me the whole of my life. And then, you know, for a little bit at university, you kind of forget that, don't you, because you're like a different person. and then you know, had children, and brought it back again, and I really wanted that kind of like health conscious like lifestyle with them, and essential oils were a really big part of my life. And actually around that time of menopause, so it was around 2021 that the brand doTERRA came into my life, the oils, because I'd been using them for so long in my life, oils generally, and herbs, because my mum's like kind of into herbs as well, Ayurveda and all of these things. But in particular, when I came across this particular brand, it was just blew me away, the medicine of them. And actually, this is what I do now. So that 5 years on now, I have like completely, exactly what you did, completely re-emerged myself into this. And I wish, and I'm so glad I did, because two things happened. One, which was I went on a huge self-development journey that allowed me to actually become that person that I said that I wanted to become, and allowing myself to stepping out of the boxes I put myself in and actually trust the confidence in doing these other things. That was one thing. And the second thing is with these little bottles of pure joy and magic that I didn't realize would change me and other people. So I help other people as well. But in particular, my perimenopause journey, I think there's been three things that have been really helpful for me. One is just recognizing my cycle and MCA for a long time. So anybody who hasn't done it, it's not too late. I always say, just do it now. Even if you don't bleed, look at your cycle through the moon. It will really help you going into the future of your menopause journey. And two, with some of these oils in particular, which are incredible for hormone balancing and helping some of the effects that I had. Some of the really crazy, like day to day, like the hot flushes, the feelings, the horrible feelings in you, the pain, the joint, the itchiness, all of those physical things, I managed to help with some of these oils. And I am so thankful for them. And the third thing is just what we talked about already, just being in community. So for me, those have been the three major things that have helped me through the last few years, and I think will help me in the next few years, because I'm still going through the thick of it. Yeah.
Amazing. It is. It's just finding your tools, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those things that are going to help you just navigate your day-to-day life, because every day may be different. One day you have the itchy skin, the next day you have, I don't know, the hot sweats, and it varies so much, but it's dealing with what you're dealing with on that day, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is, because you don't know what you're going to get, do you? It's like a little surprise.
It's like a little spin the wheel.
Yeah. So a toolbox, having your toolbox is great. And I think also, the things that we're all sort of doing to share with other women, and going back to, like, you're talking about the circles, Rushna, and the fact that they're kind of becoming, there seems to be more and more of them, but also, the other things that you're offering to sort of like support women, and like the podcast and people sharing their stories. It's kind of like, if we all kind of had a bit of a heads up about what potentially might happen in perimenopause, much like having an idea of your menstrual cycle and tuning into your body a little bit more, journaling, going back to your little astrological book, if we all kind of knew about this, it would almost make this part of life exciting. And I think many of us do, one, we probably don't know what's going to come, so there's a level of fear around that, but there's also, when it does come and you don't know what it is that you're dealing with, because you don't know what perimenopause is, or you think, or you've not heard of these symptoms associated with it, it can be really quite frightening, can't it? If we are all a little bit more aware, because we've heard stories, we go to a circle, we check in with our monthly cycle, we notice the ebbs and flows, and we're a bit more aware. That can only be a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, like, interviewing lots of women, but are you noticing that they're changing as well? Like, when they go through this process, like they are, like I said, it's an initiatory process,
oh
isn't
my
it?
God,
Like they're suddenly stepping into something new, because that's what I'm noticing with myself and other people as well. It's such a So I did the course with Red Score. So I did the feminine leadership course with Red Score, and this is the course that I was speaking about. And I'm a Red Score endorsed menstruality mentor now. And based on that course, like, one of the major fundamental things that I took out of it was the fact that menopause is not meant to be easy. Like, you know, like if you've had a child and you've done childbirth, you go through it and it changes your world, and then you can go through it again, okay? And because you kind of forget about it. But this in particular, the way I've taken it on is this in particular, you go through this process. It's meant to be how it's meant to be absolutely life-changing. It's a complete death and rebirth. So we die, we lose a part of ourselves, and it's meant to be hellish because we are meant to remember it as that, and we let it go, and then we come out and we're born into this new version of ourselves. And I really, it's so crazy. I know it is hell. I know it's going to be hard, but it's almost that has helped me recognize where I'm supposed to be with it and how to kind of come to terms with it. And I think the more we know what to expect, as you said, the more we realize are with other people and speak about it, the easier it is. Otherwise, imagine going into childbirth and not having a clue what's going on.
Yes.
That's completely crazy. So it's the same process as another initiatory
Oh my God, it
process
really
that we
is.
need to.
Yeah, and that's why it makes it really important to really hold on to those little moments of joy as well, you know, because it feels like they feed you as you're going along.
Yeah.
So you might be feeling all this crap as you're navigating it, but there'll be little moments of joy where you're like, oh, I'm going to follow that a little bit more, and that helps me just navigate this a little bit more. And like what you were saying earlier, Rushna, is I really do feel like a lot of what we're told in society is external. Like, if we have got an issue, let's go externally to try and fix that issue. Whereas if we're more internal with it, if we understand our bodies a lot more, we can understand what nourishes. We really do work out what makes us feel good at certain times of the month and that kind of thing. And I think that's so important. And I wish I'd have done it so much, you know, when I was so much younger, like you were, because I feel like I'm only doing it now. I'm like really listening. Actually, I'm not going to push through that. I'm going to just rest, or, you know, and that kind of thing, because we're not taught to do that.
And have you found there's this grief with women who feel the same? There's this grief of like not having that earlier, like, but like going, even to the point like, oh, yeah, like this grief of not being taught that about their menstrual cycle, and now they're at the end of it, and they're like, oh, now I know about it. Why didn't I know about it so much longer? Yeah, I've definitely felt that and heard that as well. And we're doing, like I said, with this podcast, with the work I'm doing, with the people that you've spoken to on the podcast as well, like all of these people are feeling this, and I find that magical, actually. All of these people are finding their elder self and suddenly going, it's not a midlife crisis. I'm meant to do this different thing. I'm meant to change. I'm meant to be someone else and bring more of this into the next person or the next person. So we're meant to, that's what we're meant to be doing in life.
And
I find
our children as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really quite important to remember all of that.
It's kind of like going, I mean, we've spoken about it before, but like kind of like you go into a bit of a, well, my personal experience was I kind of went into a bit of a dark place with it all. And then when I kind of started to feel better and feel better and feel better, it was all about bringing the light with me, the things that I'd remembered, or the things that I knew had to be done differently, or the things that I felt needed a light shining on. So that somebody else might not feel quite as shitty. And that all harks back to this whole thing of that sharing of our stories and sharing experiences. And we're not necessarily experts in anything, but we are experts in ourselves. And we're
lived experiences more. There's a thing, isn't there? Like we nowadays, I think I hear about it more and more with the people that I mentor as well. They need to do another course, they need to pay into another thing. And actually I'm more and more sitting in with the knowledge that, no, why don't you look into what you've already got, and why don't you look into what you've experienced and speak about that to others? And I hope that comes back full circle, because there's so much out there at the moment, quick things, quick fixes, quick courses, quick certifications. And actually, like I said earlier, like I didn't have any of that when I first held that one circle workshop, and I was really blown away by how much I was able to give to others just from my lived experience. So why can't we just start doing more of that as well? And if you want to start something, start it, and some people will go with you, and then that's your first step of experience. And we've all started from somewhere.
It is, and people. I think there's so much power in sharing stories. I mean, I go on about stories because I write and stuff. And I remember I wrote a short play that was on just at a local theatre, and it was basically a little bit of like the journey that I'd experienced in perimenopause. But framed in a kind of like a bit of a kind of earthy way, with this sort of like earthy narrator. And anyway, but the crux of the story was about how you can experience how these things can come into your life, even if you're not expecting them, but sort of stick with them, and what you can learn along the way, and then sort of coming out the other end. And like you with the circle, this is like my circle sort of thing. It's kind of like just getting the stories out there. But this lady came up to me and she was like, oh my God, I just want to say thank you so much. I've never seen anything in the theatre or represented in telly or anything like that shows how I actually felt. And so I just want to say thank you for doing that. I mean, it was a play that was on one night. It was nothing like special or anything, but you never know, do you, when something that you've experienced and then shared, you never know when that's gonna
touch somebody. And that's a moment of joy, isn't it?
I was buzzing like you. I was just like, come home and I was like, oh my God, to my husband, this lady, and I was just like, so it's always worth it, isn't it?
I'm really like I really do feel it's very important for us all to be on an equal footing. We don't need experts. We just need to be with each other. You know, there's no real hierarchy of that. It's just like we're just being together is so nourishing. And then there's no real expectations, and then you don't feel like you're going to fail or anything. If we're all just being together in community, it's magical.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I agree. And it's really interesting, because we want to hold that space, don't we, more? But it's again, I always say, like, if you want to create a circle, do one. Like, sometimes I've been holding a circle for about 3 years with a friend of mine, and some of those people want to create somewhere else, or online, when I've spoken to people, they want to, and there's this feeling of, I can't do it because somebody else is doing it. But the people that are going to come to you are going to come to you. You have things to share. There's never enough circles, in my opinion, and more people coming together is just going to benefit all of us, as we said, the ripple of it all. I really love the idea of, like, creating more, bringing more, and like allowing people to share their knowledge more as well, even in, helping younger people. Like, I say younger, like, I'm seeing more and more like 20-year-olds starting to do this work that we've started like late. And I think that's incredible. Like, why not? I wished I'd had the guts to do it then. Like, if we can empower them to do it sooner, that's going to be even better for the world, isn't it? So
of course it is.
So Rushna, take us through all the things that you've got going on at the moment, so in case anybody wants to come and find you.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you can, I mean, obviously you're going to pop some details about where to find me on social media, but so I do locally. I'm in Devon now. I've moved to Devon and I love it here, but I hold drumming workshops here if you're in around the southwest, and I'm holding some drum related work. I'm starting to do more circles here as well, but I also I do this 13-week container with women, with 3 other beautiful people, beautiful medicine women that I work with, and it's called the Rose Academy, and we did it last year, and we're opening up the doors. We had a break this year, and we're opening up the doors for a in-person retreat in Devon, and then opening up the online portal next year again, which is a 13-week program, and it's a contained program with women, and we journey together for 13 weeks together, and it's like a transformational process, and we go through things to do with menstrual cycle as well, but more to do with like the inner person, like finding that space for yourself and shifting it so you can come out doing more of this work, what we talked about really today. So that's next year, in hopefully after the equinox, in spring equinox. And so if you want to work with me, those are the beautiful things that I do. And
that sounds really gorgeous.
Yeah. What are we doing next year?
You're going to be on this course with me.
Oh my God, it sounds incredible. It sounds incredible.
Yeah. Oh, Rushna, it's been an absolute joy talking to you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been
thank
lovely.
you for coming along.
Yeah,
it's been wonderful.
We'll definitely catch up with you again, I think, and have a
part two.
Yeah,
that'd be wonderful.
Really lovely.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah. We'll talk about go a bit more nitty gritty. Should we do that?
Yeah, always up for the nitty gritty.
Yeah, because it's gone so quickly, as it always does.
I
know. Thank you so much, Rushna.
Yeah, thank you, Rushna. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.